The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of either Spectrum Generations or Time Warner Cable. Mature Lifestyle is made possible by Knowlton Hewins Roberts Funeral Homes and Cremation Service. Our homes are warm and welcoming, and we take care of you and your family like we would our own. Call us anytime. We are here for you.
Welcome to Spectrum Generations Mature Lifestyles. We are so excited to be with you on National Volunteers Month, and I have two women who can tell you how it's done. They're trainers, they're volunteers, and they make things happen. No stranger to our show is Jamie Ribisi-Braley.
Oh, that's even nicer. Right. Yeah, I like that.
But she coordinates volunteers at Spectrum Generations, and she has a lot to share with us because we all want to volunteer because you make it fun. And then we have Pam Zanderhorst.
Zutenhorst.
Yes. All right. See, she's going to do her own name because I have murdered it, and it's not fair to a lovely lady who's doing so many extraordinary things. She's done volunteerism on her own, but now she's moved to a state agency where she's helping train others. But I think our viewers, and I know I would like to know a little bit more about you. So, Jamie, you're not off the hook just because you've been here before. Tell me a bit about you before you got into coordinating volunteers.
Oh, sure. Well, I've been volunteering all of my life, started with Girl Scouts, and I think that's a great organization to get started in for young women. And just have always just thought it was a nice way to give back to the community, and as I aged is a nice way to put my skills from my life and back into the community.
And tell me about some of those skills, because we have skills that we don't even think of as skills that become important to you as your volunteer base, don't they?
Definitely, and it could be anything from knowing a certain craft, which is a really great skill. Maybe you know how to weave, you know how to do certain things, and that can be put into many different organizations to help them with their programming. But we can have, if you're from a nursing background, that's a really great skill. We use that a lot with our Meals on Wheels program and assessors. If you're from a financial background, it's a really, we have different money management programs that we use at Spectrum Generations. And if you have those skills, there's a lot of people that could use your help.
Oh, that's great. And don't underestimate your skills.
No, not at all.
What you might take for granted because you've done it all your life. It's really needed by you. Definitely. And tell me a little bit about you. Were you a volunteer as a young one yourself? You're still young.
Yeah, just a few years ago when I was young. Like Jamie, volunteering was something of my family culture growing up, and I was actually doing it before I knew there was a term for it.
Right.
So
what kinds of things did you enjoy most?
Scouting, actually, back in the day, that was when there was Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and I wanted to be a Boy Scout and was because that's my family was involved in scouting a lot. And then as I've matured, I've used volunteering as a skill building to lead to different jobs and employment. And when I moved to Maine, that was the way I integrated myself into my new community, was through volunteering.
So it's a good way to meet new people.
Yes.
And where were you before?
I was out on the West Coast, originally born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, and moved to Northern California on the coast.
And you bring those skills and your background for having, probably can do some travel dialogues with you. And so tell me a little bit about your state. You had an organization you worked with, but now you're at the state level. Tell me about that transition and what you do on the state level.
When I was in California, I worked for a volunteer center as a volunteer manager, much like Jamie does for Spectrum Generations, and worked with a RSVP program, which is a national service program. And when I moved to Maine, I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to work with the Maine Commission for Community Service.
Okay, tell our viewers a little more about what that is. Some might not know we even have such a thing.
Yeah, it is a state agency, but we operate a lot like a nonprofit in that we focus on building capacity and sustainability in the volunteer and service sector. Okay. And we do that by funding programs like AmeriCorps. And
I think people are a little familiar
with that.
Yes.
So we also provide professional development opportunities for professionals like Jamie in volunteer management who want to gain skills to be able to do their job better. And then we also serve as an educator about the sector, issues and challenges that face using volunteers to meet needs here in Maine.
Right.
And
It's a skill, isn't it, to manage volunteers, because you don't want them to be bored or burned out. You want them to feel rewarded for what they do, or you're going to lose your base, aren't
Definitely.
you?
Right.
Yeah, but that's a skill. And so, Jamie, you take courses, if you will.
I do, yeah.
She trains you as well.
There's a lot of different conferences, educational conferences that we go to. There's some webinars and things that are hosted, and it's really great. And like you said, it's a skill for me to learn, but the biggest thing that I've gotten from it, especially recently, is that a really great way to appreciate the volunteers and what they're doing is to recognize their skills so that they're happy in what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're not just there doing something you thought was important to be done.
And I would think the worst thing, and it's my own experience too, is someone shows up and says, I'm here to help. And you say, well, thank you very much. And then you don't tell them or help them see a way they can make a difference. And then they leave frustrated, don't they?
Right.
But that doesn't happen in your organization because you get it. And you're prepared for that and you don't let it happen.
Right.
But is that a skill you teach other people who deal with volunteers?
yeah, the Maine Commission for Community Service, that's one of the things that we are working with organizations, and we deal more directly with people like Jamie and organizations for them to build their organizational skills.
You're training the trainer.
Yes, exactly. A great example of that is Maine was chosen as a national pilot site for something called Service Enterprise, which is all about helping organizations engage citizens in achieving their social mission.
Well, that's wonderful. Maine was chosen for that.
Yes, one of 14 in the nation. So,
that speaks highly of the dedication of Maine people.
And the
providing
people,
this
and I think
service.
also the organizations who want to captivate this human resource and really use it to solve critical issues in the local community.
And so you're partnering with a county, as I understand?
Yes, through the Corporation for National and Community Service, we have a volunteer generation fund that we fund 4 volunteer centers in the state. One of them is based at the United Way of York County, and it is their work doing training nonprofits in York County. They're working with 6 nonprofits to achieve this national certification.
Wow. So that people will know what kinds of nonprofits we're talking about. Name a few of those.
Oh.
The Spectrum Generations is one, for example. We know that they do that, but is there either one of you can give me some ideas?
There are lots of nonprofits in the state.
There really are. We depend on them heavily. Don't we?
Yeah, a lot of them, and what we know is most of them have very small budgets.
And
so they
couldn't operate without the volunteers.
Couldn't operate without volunteers providing some of those key services. What we also know, what we've been learning through this service enterprise work, is that organizations don't always fully utilize volunteers to the best of abilities, and the skill-based
So you're
volunteering.
helping them expand even more.
Right, to envision how do we, like Spectrum Generations, move beyond just doing the direct service delivery into integrating them into our whole organizational structure. Like Spectrum Generations has been able to do, is recognize when people come with those life experiences or professional skills that you might want to plug them in somewhere else.
And that's what you were talking about with the financial background and the nursing background. So can you tell us any stories about good experiences that you've had with volunteers like that?
Oh, goodness.
Not
I've had a
necessarily
lot.
Not by name, but the kinds of
Right.
things that people have. We talked about a couple that had been on the show earlier. They had just moved to Maine. They wanted to meet people. They came to you, and you put them right to work doing Meals on Wheels.
Yep.
They loved the participation in your organization.
Right, and him in particular, Bob, he came from a background of organizational skills, so he is my go-to person when I need something. I call him up, and I know that
you take those
that I
skills.
realized that was his
He learned that
job.
in the business world. He's retired, but you need those skills, and you're a
Exactly.
nonprofit to make the monies that you do have go further in providing the services, right? And any other people that you could, not necessarily by name, but just activities that you find?
Oh, sure. Well, our next guest is Les, and he comes from a computer programming background, and so we'll learn a little about him later, and specifically what he
I think we all
is
need
working
one of
with.
those in our homes.
Yeah, I know.
Do you have
Definitely, for
volunteers who do
sure.
that? Or a hotline?
Definitely,
Yes,
and I think that's Spectrum Generations and Jamie do that very well. Of people when they come in and recognizing that they have a certain set of skills, and really sometimes for some people that's the best way to recognize them and thank them is by the organization saying, we trust you and we're going to give you more to do, more responsibility. So in thinking about appreciating volunteers, think about it, it's not always the big party. It's always sometimes as simple as saying thank you and I have more things for you to do. And other times for some people, they like the social aspects. So
and sometimes that can come as early as when you're interviewing them as they say, oh, I'm interested in this volunteer position that you have. And
so
I'll learn about their skills.
Advertise a volunteer position, for example, at Spectrum Generations? Is it on a web page, or how do you let
all
people
over the
know?
place. we do.
At your
We do
centers.
it. We have it on our website.
And at your
our
centers.
centers, there's all different flyers, and we have a volunteer liaison at each center.
So what openings are there now if we want to apply?
Oh my goodness, there's a lot.
Just one.
Sure.
One
Well,
or two.
sure. Well, we have our aging and disability resource specialists. They need some assistance to help them in their program, and so even it can be as simple as maybe you've had skills on the telephone. That would be really helpful for us. If you're a great public speaker, we can definitely put those skills to use in our different programs.
I'm glad you talked about that. I had no idea there were so many opportunities, frankly, and that you advertise for volunteer positions. And if you needed help with training, you have a place to go.
Definitely, yes.
And also there's volunteermaine.org, which is a statewide website. It's a one-stop shop for people who want to connect with volunteer opportunities or organizations looking for volunteers. So
I think you've found the secret to staying young and vibrant and active. I mean, look at the two of you. You love what you're doing as a parent. And it seems to me the people that I've met who've worked with you, and I haven't had a chance to meet yours yet, but I'm so glad you were here with us today. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more opportunities to volunteer.
Spectrum Generations. Live healthy. Live well. Get answers. Get connected. Spectrum Generations, specializing in the art of aging.
Excuse me, begging your indulgence, sir. I'm a wealthy foreign dignitary, and I would like your help moving a vast sum of money into this country. I will let you keep most of it, but I would like to have some of it back, too. Please, take this certified cashier's check as a portion of the transaction.
Get lost. Scams like these don't work as well in person. That's why most of them are done online.
Want great green grass all year round with less mowing and practically no watering or fertilizing? Now you can with Grassology. Unlike regular grass that require constant water and fertilizer, Grassology's roots grow 4 times deeper than ordinary grass to reach underground water and nutrients. And Grassology slowly reaches a dwarf height, so there's a lot less mowing, guaranteed. If you've got bare patches, bald spots or brown spots caused by pets, use Grassology. This lawn hasn't been mowed in months. Check out the Grassology difference after a harsh drought. Call or go online now and get £1 of Grassology for just $14.99. But if you call right now, you can double the order to £2. Plus, you can also get a 25-foot Pocket Hose Ultra, now 3 times stronger. Grassology for $14.99. Call now.
Call 1-800-806-1946, and today you can get a special double offer of Grassology and the Pocket Hose Ultra, so call 1-800-806-1946. Call now.
Welcome back to Mature Lifestyles. Spectrum Generations loves to bring programs where you can live, laugh, and learn, and today is no exception. We've been talking about opportunities to volunteer, not just with us, but statewide. And Jamie, who is a regular on the show, knows just how to give you those opportunities. But we have a volunteer himself, but he's very specialized. He's a computer programmer, which must be in great demand, and his name is Les LeBlanc. Am I right about being a programmer?
Well, I'm not a computer programmer anymore.
Okay, but you were.
I retired from the Navy and went back to school. I was a programmer for Washington Mutual Bank in Seattle, and I moved back to Maine in 2005, and I worked in DHHS in Maine for technology for a couple of years. And
you
so
like challenges.
Right. Yeah, that was
Navy, a bank, and DHHS.
It was really awesome learning experiences, and now that I'm doing the computer work volunteering,
Yes.
there's a lot of experience that I call upon to solve problems for people, and it's helped out a lot.
Well, tell me a little bit about you. You're retired. You're pretty young to be retired, but
Yes, I am.
you're retired.
Yes.
And then you wanted to do some volunteer work after you retired. Is that what happened?
Yes, I started with Meals on Wheels,
Okay.
and Linda asked me to teach a computer class. So I taught a computer class, and they agreed when I decided that one-on-one was better than a full class, because what I found was people don't really ask the questions that they want to ask.
Right, because we're so individual, isn't it?
Right. They're embarrassed or whatever.
Of course. So, Jamie, you must have been so excited when you found him.
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that moment.
Well, Linda Johnson, she's our volunteer liaison at our Cohen Community Center in Hollowell, and her, as well as Maggie, who's their center director, they really saw those skills in him. So even though he came in doing Meals on Wheels, which is definitely a skill in its own, saw what he was interested in, what his background was, and what their needs were in the center, and really scooped him right up. I won't let him go.
I don't blame you.
Which is wonderful.
Well, so do you still do Meals on Wheels, or are
Yes.
you do both? Okay, but this must be very demanding. Tell me how you help people with. You teach a class, but one-on-one, I think.
Right, and what it is whenever people sign up, I teach 2 people on Wednesdays in the Cohen Center, and
Okay.
I call them a couple days before, find out what kind of computer they have, can they bring it, what issues are they having. So sometimes it's teaching them something that they want to learn, like even if it's just using email, or they have an issue with their computer and don't know how to fix it.
Exactly.
And for $10 for an hour and a half, we usually get it done, and you can't beat it for the
So, Jamie, so do you have to, how do you get his wonderful volunteer services? If you're out in the community and you're senior and you are interested in having someone help you through some pretty complicated things to you, how do they get in touch with this wonderful
Sure, well,
person?
just call up the Cohen Center, or any of our centers really do have similar programs, or we can help try to find that volunteer to fill that need, and just sign up. They'll tell you what their
And
schedule
you
is,
put
what's
people
open.
together who
Yes.
call in and you say, oh, I've got just the person you need.
Yes.
I can deliver your meals, but I can also help you with your other issues with your computer. So tell me the kinds of, do you go into people's homes sometimes?
Yes.
And tell us about that.
Well, they will see, maybe they read the newsletter, and so they call and they ask for my help, but they need it in my home. So Maggie or Kristen will email me with the person's name and phone number, and I'll call them, and we'll set something up. And after that, they contact me directly. And it works out pretty good. Again, it's something that so many people, they buy a computer and they really expect it to work the way it's advertised, and it does work the way it's advertised, but unfortunately they can't maybe grasp the technical aspects of it. And
what's the most popular service? Is it emailing and keeping up with family, Facebook, social media? What do they like to do most?
I think most of the home visits are for problems.
Okay.
There could be something like Facebook, and if they have a laptop, the easiest way is to come into the
Bring
Cohen
it
Center.
with them to the center.
Right, and Facebook, email, even eBay, whatever they need. You know, if I always tell them up front that if I don't know it, we'll figure it out, and if we can't figure it out, then I can refer them to maybe somebody else, right?
And is there an issue with scams, helping the people you're working with to avoid scams? Because we get some phishing type emails all the time. I do, and I suspect that your clients do as well.
Right. I had one lady that she didn't fall for the scam, but while I was at her house, she told me that her mother had.
Yes.
And I I talked to Maggie, and she gave me a couple of numbers for the Attorney General in Maine.
Right, so
And
you got
another
some help.
number. And the Attorney General actually, I believe, got a hold of them because they needed somebody from outside the family to come in and talk to their mom.
Sure.
But scams are big.
Exactly, for all of us to be careful about. So I'm sure that's part of your teaching as well. And how about if someone, a senior or someone else who uses your service, wants to buy one? Oh my goodness, there's so many out there to choose from. There's the desktop, the laptop, the Windows, the Apple.
I will meet somebody at Best Buy and Staples. Luckily, the nice thing is they're right next door to each other.
Shopper.
Right, and I actually tell people, I say, before you buy anything, let me know.
I wish I had found you sooner.
Because it is not uncommon for somebody to go out and buy something, and it's
Which
not
is
really
more
the right
than they
thing.
need or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
It's not really what they need, and then they wait too long, and then they can't just return it.
Okay, so, well, that is very, very exciting. And you've enjoyed your work?
Oh, I really love helping people with that, the
Okay.
computers.
And did you do volunteer work when you were at the bank also? Or did you have time, or were you so busy when you were in your full-time career?
There were a couple of things we did, group things that people would sign
Right.
up for. One or two I did over the 5 years I was there, yeah.
Right, so there are people still working, in addition to your wonderful skills, who probably call you up, Jamie, who would like to, I work, but I have some time. Do you use volunteers like that?
Definitely, yes. I mean, we have some things you can come in for an hour a week if you'd like to, and we'll work with your schedule and with our schedule and see what balances out and what would be helpful for the volunteer.
Well, it looks like he's got a financial skill they're going to pick on next. Do you have lawyers? Do you have,
Definitely.
yes?
Yes, we do.
You have lawyers?
Yes.
And what about language skills? Do you have teachers who help people with English as a second language or anything like that?
We don't currently have that program.
That's not a
I know
need for
other-
you at this point.
But there are other organizations and
And
that we could
cooking, I know
refer
you have a
to.
great cook out there, but do you have people who want to help with maybe they're specialists in vegetarian cooking? So
Oh,
there's
yeah, we do
no
classes,
skill
we
that you
could
can't
do-
use.
No.
So what else do you have in your pocket? We have banking, we have computer work, we have a driver.
Well, along with computers, I've helped people with their cable TV.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, things that are, you've heard the myth about people that you go into their house, you look at the VCR and the clock's flashing because they never set it up.
Yes, I want to sign up for him, please.
But
any technical things, which would
Right.
be extraordinarily helpful. I'm serious. I have to call my grandson to help me, and so I just as soon call a volunteer who could do it better. But it sounds like it's very rewarding to you. You seem that you enjoy it, and I bet you could say that all those people who come to you keep coming back, don't they?
Yes, yep.
How long have you been a volunteer?
3 or 4 years, I think.
Well, see, that speaks volumes. You could have quit after the first year. You could have been so
I
frustrated.
wasn't sure I would enjoy the computer part, but I did.
But you tried it. You were willing to try it, so that says a lot. You said you came home to Maine to do all this. Where did you grow up?
Rockland, South Thomaston area.
South Thomaston. Well, we're awfully glad you came back. It's West Coast loss and our gain, don't you think,
Right,
Jamie?
definitely.
Do you have any brothers and sisters we could sign up?
I do, but their brothers are out of state.
All right.
My sister, I probably help with her computer.
But I'm sure you are an excellent role model for people who would like to volunteer, because you've had a very full life. You still have one, but whatever these skills, they're interesting to you. You like the computer skills, and you're sharing that with other people. So what would be your words of wisdom to someone who wants to volunteer? It takes too much time, or I don't like meeting new people. What would you say to those people, a little afraid of coming?
Well, I think that they should try it, and I think they'll find that they like it. And if what they try isn't a good fit, there's always something else.
Exactly. And so you would just encourage them, and I bet people ask you about it from time to time. Is Meals on Wheels often an entry point? Because we all know you do that.
It is, yes, it is, and because it's a very well-known program and people understand it, they do want, and it has all different type of skill sets involved in it. So it does attract a lot of people. And
You could fix the computers while you're delivering the meals, right?
As long as the food doesn't go bad.
And so, what would be your best advice? Oh, I'm going to have to stop because we're running out of time, but you have been a fabulous guest, both of you. Please stay tuned. We have a special message from our sponsor coming right up.
Life should be celebrated. It's a special day when family and friends gather together to celebrate the life of a loved one. A celebration of life helps us honor our loved one and keep our memories alive. Whether you're planning a traditional funeral, a creative celebration of life, or a blend of both, at Knowlton Hewins Roberts, we are truly committed to meet the personal and unique needs of you and your family. Knowlton Hewins Roberts. Visit us online or visit our 2 locations in Augusta and Winthrop.
Don't let your hands mouth off. Get out from behind the screen. Let your lips do the talking. Words can hurt. So cut the cyberbullying and ask yourself, would you say it to my face? Cyberbullying leaves a mark. Come on, think before you type. The decision is in your hands. For more info, check us out online at sayittomyface.org.
The Say It to My Face campaign and Time Warner Cable, working together to stop cyberbullying.
Welcome back to Mature Lifestyle. Jamie and I have had a wonderful morning and afternoon talking about the joys of being volunteers, and she has a dream job. She works with volunteers every day. Both of us are hoping that when you end this show, you're going to get up and go call her or someone else and volunteer. Jamie, tell us how to do that.
Sure. Well, on Spectrum Generations website, spectrumgenerations.org, we have all of our volunteer positions listed with flyers and information, so you can find out more about a specific program if you're interested. But also on volunteermaine.org, ourselves and lots of other organizations around Maine all have different positions listed. You can search by the town you live in, you can search by a keyword, whatever you want. Yeah, and really find and can apply through that website. And
if I may say, if you're not really sure about how to apply through a website, you can use the help of the volunteer that we've had on the show earlier to learn how to do that. But you can also call the phone number and they will direct you.
Yes,
But go ahead, please.
For sure. Then there's also different programs around the state, like the RSVP program, which is for retired seniors that want to volunteer. And they will help figure out exactly what your skill set might be and what you might be interested in, and refer you to the different programs throughout the state.
So it's an entire organization that helps volunteers find a good fit.
Yes.
Okay.
And they especially work a lot with veterans too. RSVP, yes.
Okay.
And then another is Encore Leadership, and what they do is if you're looking to, maybe you're thinking you'd like to be on a board of a nonprofit or on a committee, they give you training specifically to do that. So if you're thinking, I'm almost there, but I feel like I could use a little more help, they will help you with that, and they have some really amazing training programs.
So it's another way of thinking about volunteering, because these nonprofit boards need good board members, and so you help there.
Yeah.
So it ranges from Meals on Wheels to helping with computers to what else? What's been your most fun experience? You've dealt with the Derby, I know, and the fishing Derby, but
well, even that's a good example with different fundraising events. We really could use people that have maybe a fundraising background to help us with the pre-event work, or even just if you're a well-organized person, you can really just help us put that event together.
And I hope that you will get up and go volunteer. You won't be sorry. Thank you for joining us.
Mature Lifestyle is made possible by Knowlton Hewins Roberts Funeral Homes and Cremation Service. Our homes are warm and welcoming, and we take care of you and your family like we would our own. Call us anytime. We are here for you.